I just wanted to go in a little bit more on George Pickens being soft because he kind of left some stuff on the table that he should have used personal anecdotes. But the problem is when Coach gets telling a story, he can add way too many details, right? And even though like he thinks they are funny, you might not want to hear the whole thing. So long and short of it, there was a school that, as a sophomore, forced Coach to play soccer in order to play basketball. I'll spare you the details as to why, but they basically weren't going to let me go to this school unless I was willing to play soccer for them because that was their primary focus. That was the moneymaker. They just got $1 million donation to build a soccer field. They needed a player to stand on the fucking field, and I'm very athletic. It's non-negotiable, right? So I had to show up and play soccer, right? Coming from Virginia Beach, okay? I did not like the cold, right? So in West Virginia, on this exact field, we ended up getting absolutely dumped on. Now, this is an area that can easily get like 1 foot to 2 feet of snow. Not even joking. It just happens to be a weird part in West Virginia like that. The rich side conveniently only gets to like 1 to 2 inches, and we get feet, right? It's not even bullshit. No cap, right? So somehow that magically happens. All the doctors and the lawyers, they don't have to worry about it, but us trailer trash, we just get fucking dumped on every time and get giant floods, that once in a 1,000-year floods to fucking wipe out everybody out. Even though they got them all doped up, they decided to dump all the oxys there first thing, make them the guinea pigs, them in Virginia obviously being the other one if you've seen the documentary. But yeah, basically they've got everybody mind controlled. They got them already sold. They sold off all their farms. They're completely dependent on the system like everybody else. They forgot all their natural, like, herbal remedies and ways to go out and hunt for plants that are worth, like, basically just insane amounts of money, right? And because we have, like, the largest biodiversity, all that sort of stuff. So there's so much things that it's just, like, the ideal climate for it to grow or thrive or be birthed, right? Whether it's an animal species or floral. Right, so, or fauna, whatever, you know what I mean? I don't know. Fuck, whatever. Anyways, but the story is, so George Pickens is blaming the snow. Nobody hates snow more than Coach. I promise that. Coach was mad hot. This game wasn't like canceled or something. Like, he could not even believe it, right? He wasn't someone that was like, oh, I've always wanted an iconic snow game. This did turn into Coach's iconic snow game. And he did have a piece of the magical play, although mostly not on him, right? He'll explain the whole thing. So, the ball... The snow was so bad that if you were to punt the ball would hit the ground and stay there, and you could not, maybe see, you could see like barely the top of it stuck in the snow. No joke. It was up past, like, you know, you wear long socks in soccer. It wasn't past the very top, but it was about at least halfway up on the shin guards. No joke. Coach wasn't feeling this at all. His socks were soggy. His feet were freezing. He always had to play with holes in his cleats anyway because he didn't have a lot of money. He had to buy the cheapos, and there was no money to replace them. So he always had completely blown out cleats that were taped all to hell. And although mostly would work in ideal conditions, when it would get muddy or snowy, it would really cause problems. And Coach always had mad holes in his socks as well. They would get worn through just from how hard he would tax his feet, moving, running constantly, stopping, etc. So the friction between the socks and the shoes would burn holes in the socks basically every single game. So the next game, Coach would just rotate those socks so a different part of the sock was on the bottom getting holes burning it until they were completely tattered, right? So Coach had to roll out in this blizzard, and he was a starter begrudgingly. He did not really want to be out here. But he also was the type of person, if you put him in the game, you better not take him out. And Coach did give me a few minutes to try to get warm on the sideline, and I let him have it, and he basically put me in my place, right? This was a really good coach. He should have, I thought he should have put me at goalie, because I clearly would have been better than his goalie, and probably one of the best in the state, if not the best. But he thought I needed to learn how to play soccer, and I think that was a good move. I respect him for it and appreciate him to this day. Fun guy, right? So as far as playing in this blizzard, this was basically a scoreless game. I'm almost positive it was 0-0 with just a few minutes to play, okay? And they were getting deep in our end. I always played sweeper, so my job was to not get it near our goalie, right? No matter what. Like, I'm not supposed to handle the ball. I'm just supposed to try to crush it with my head or my foot before it even bounces. Do not let people just slop the ball in here and get some lucky bounce or something, right? So Coach would often have terrible headaches because he'd be doing header after header. He wasn't particularly good at them. Sometimes I'd hit the wrong spot. not be feeling too great, right? So he'd be popping Tylenol at halftime, right? So this was really, really, really not a fun game. He didn't like the sport. He doesn't like snow. He probably had a pounding headache as well. And, you know, the equipment was not right at all, right? So the ball was chipped in, and it was in pretty deep. It was like right at the goal line, right? Like right out at the box where you could easily get a shot up. It might have even been like the PK area, right? And my goalie was always really soft. I couldn't stand this kid. But in the snow, you know what I mean? It kind of made sense. Maybe he would just hang back there and not try to take it himself, right? You know what I mean? Whereas if it was me, I would have seen this coming. I would have ran and just fell on it face first, swallowed it up, gotten up with a face full of snow, and punted it out of there, right? So he decided to just hang back and let me try to take care of it. Coach has never, ever, even though he is fairly good at soccer now, he is not good at kicking a still ball unless it is a corner kick for some weird reason. He cannot kick a goal kick. It has to be like a finesse kick. If I need a power kick on a ball that's completely stopped still, there's only been one time ever that I actually got good power on it, right? So this was buried in the snow, and I have to clear it out. I kicked the ball absolutely as hard as I can. I swung my leg back as hard as I could, scooped it out of the snow. It clearly wasn't like the cleanest contact because there was snow between my foot and the ball when I hit it. So it was more of like a push. It maybe went like 10 to 15 yards completely straight right to my Brazilian teammate, who was a first-year transfer, who I imagine had never played in snow either, because I don't think it snows much in Brazil. Maybe I'm wrong. But he decides to just truck all the way down himself and pound it in their net, right? So coach wasn't willing to blame snow, his shoes, the refs, nothing. I imagine there was a call or two I didn't like because I always gave the refs hell, okay? But none of that matters. If coach got scored on here, he wouldn't be telling you a story of, oh, refs aren't fair. Isn't my life unfair? Isn't the snow unfair? That team wasn't even good. Like, no. Coach respected that team. He didn't think they were as good as us, but anybody can win. We better take care of them. I doubt they're scrubs. They're playing soccer for fun on a team. Right? Like they at least know something about it, hopefully. Yeah, I would say at least the majority of them. So you probably don't want to mess around and give them too many chances because you don't get a lot of goals in soccer, right? So make sure you get the most of yours. Probably not going to get a lot of chances. We had to completely dig ours out of nowhere from the snow and have a dude somehow basically go coast to coast and bury it in the net, right? It was the most beautiful thing I ever saw. I had a perfect sight of it because I literally got to see myself kick it straight to him and keep my eyes on him the whole time, following him up the field and just watching him torch everybody. It was amazing.